Dinosaurs!
There's the sun. 5 years ago, we moved into this house by the beach. And ever since, I've had this sort of romantic notion that I would get up at dawn and go for a swim in the sea every day. And the reason I haven't so far is twofold. One, I'm not a morning person. The second reason is I don't like cold water. Like, I barely get into a pool without a suit on, and the pool is 26 degrees. That sea in the summer on a good day is 17 degrees. In the winter it gets down below 10. Of course, we go into that sea all the time. Like, my girlfriend is a freediving instructor, I'm a freediving cameraman. We play in there and we work in there throughout the year. But that's like with a suit on, with a mask on, gloves on, socks on. Like, you're covered entirely. The only thing that hits the water is your face, and when it gets colder, like, it really stings your face. So this romantic idea of dawn swims was likely gonna be just that, an idea. The reason that I finally started after 5 years is mostly my girl. Like, she's an actual morning person, so I figured like she would actually be able to get up in the morning at dawn, whereas I think I would struggle, and she would probably be able to drag me along. So that's what happened. That first morning, she got up, she went to get my trunks, she gave me my trunks and kind of gently convinced me, oh, it's a beautiful morning, you know, let's go outside, let's go try this, let's do this swim. So we got to the beach, and holding her hand, she gently led me into the sea. And I experienced my first dawn swim, and holy. It's quite overwhelming. It's shocking in a way. It's funny how different bits of your body respond to the cold. Like, I knew that one certain area was always gonna respond badly. Oh, this is where the break is, yeah. All of a sudden it gets a bit deeper and it touches things that don't want to be touched by cold water. Oh, here it goes. Oh, definitely. I stood on tippy toe to avoid genitals. Here it comes.
This video is going to be a song about the genitals.
Yeah, it is. Genitals. Oh, hey, there's going to be. Oh, there's going to be. Oh, genitals. Oh, definitely genitals. Genitals. Yeah, genitals. 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 That's gonna be genitals. That's gonna be genitals. Oh, genitals. That's definitely genitals.
Genitals.
Genitals. Genitals. Genitals. Oh, genitals. Oh. Genitals. Definitely genitals. That's genitals.
On day 4, I kind of felt acclimatized enough to try like a little static, do a little breath hold in there. And maybe that was overdoing it. On day 5, I had a real struggle. I had such a hard time getting in and getting through.
I'm not sure if I can.
I made it such a big deal in my head that like it was almost insurmountable.
Oh, George, I'm not sure if I can. Oh God, no. Sorry.
Almost.
Come on.
I had to have a real talk with myself. Part of the problem there was how long I stayed cold. Like, I'd get out of the water, go back home, get all my clothes on, and then I'd
start shivering and be cold for another like 2 hours. Like I was a little bit too miserable for a little bit too long. So I asked people like how they dealt with the cold afterwards. Because I knew that if like it was only that initial shock and then afterwards you would be fine, then I'd be okay with it. I got some really great advice online, especially from a friend of mine who's a scientist and professor, Erika Chagate. And she told me to wear a swim cap, dry off immediately after you get out of the water. Like, wear some clothes, put on dry clothes instantly after drying off. And then as soon as you can, get a hot tea with something sweet in you. And I figured it might have to do a little bit with circulation as well. So in order to get the heart pumping, I started running back up the hill, back home, for only like a 2-minute jog. But that really got the heart pumping, and I figured like anything that keeps the circulation going and keeps, like, gets me warm again. So all of these things combined kind of made it easier for me to deal with the after effects of the swim. Like I always figured like it would be really hard getting into the water, but it was getting out of the water that was proving to be a problem. But why would you do that, right? Like why would you do something if it's so painful and miserable? Well, the idea was to get myself out of my comfort zone, which by definition was going to be uncomfortable. I wanted to train myself doing something that went against my nature. Like I like lay-ins and hot baths. I wanted to see what would happen if I went against that. I wanted to challenge myself a little. And plus, I knew it was going to be a healthy habit. Like getting up early means that you're going to have a more productive day, hopefully. But it's also, it's a known factor that being exposed to cold water for short bursts is good for your immune system. It's a healthy thing to do. And as someone who makes his living from his lungs and from holding his breath, like I'm very worried about this COVID pandemic, and I want to make sure that my body is as healthy as it can be in order to not just prevent this thing from happening, but if it happens to me, I want to be able, like in tip-top shape, to deal with it. You know, I want to give myself the best chance possible to get through this. But that's not enough to motivate me to do it, though. It's kind of like when I quit smoking. I needed a little bit more than just fear to commit to it. You know, fear as a motivation is only half of the equation. It's kind of like the stick and the carrot idea of motivation. Fear is the stick. You're afraid of like being hit by a stick. But the carrot is what's in front of you, what you want to chase, you know, something that you strive for, something nice that might happen if you do a new thing, if you try something new, if you commit to a new habit. And there were plenty of carrots. It turns out dawn is a beautiful part of the day. Who knew? Yeah, sometimes it was dark, like dark gray, dark blue. It was even dark green. And sometimes it just looked like the day had started without any fanfare or any pomp and circumstance. And sometimes they looked like any other normal day. And then there were days when dawn would be spectacular with all the colors and all the splendor. The dogs also seem to like these little adventures. And then there's the thing itself. I've loved swimming ever since I was 6 years old and got over my fear of water. And once you get used to the cold, the experience is actually borderline pleasant. It's very intense, almost overwhelming, and super tingly. Once we hit 10 degrees in December, and there was a fascinating new dimension to the cold. Almost like a layer of cool silver being poured over you. I'm beginning to like it, in a Stockholm syndrome kind of way. But the main motivation is her. Seeing her smile, hearing those little squeals of delight every day. Totally worth getting up for. So am I gonna keep this up? Oh hell yes, for sure. It's an amazing way to start the day. It's such a vivid and visceral experience, such a fun little adventure, such a healthy shock to the system, that I'm slowly beginning to really look forward to it. And I want to experiment with it more. I started doing very short, very shallow dives. I want to make them longer, maybe do a short static at depth. And I might confront the elephant in the room, my fellow Dutchman Wim Hof. As a freediver, I know the dangers of hyperventilation and swimming, but it could be an interesting taboo to explore. Let me know in the comments if you're interested to see that. And let me know if you have any experiences yourself in open water swimming, in cold water swimming, and what they were like. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. And keep in mind, open water swimming can be tricky, can be a bit dangerous. It is the sea. Hypothermia is a real thing. So be careful out there if you want to try it. Educate yourself a little bit more than I did to begin with. And I hope you enjoy.